Hello my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today I'm going to do a first impressions video for you. I have a bunch of really interesting new products to try out. I haven't swatched or tested any of these, so I'm really excited to play with them and see how they work. First of all, I have these two new MAC products from their Essential Oils line. I have the little dropper oil and also the stick. And I'm really intrigued by this. I've never really seen a beauty oil in a stick kind of application before, so I'm really excited to try this out. Let's put it on and see how it feels. It smells good. It doesn't smell very strong. I was expecting it to be like a really intense herbal or citrus smell because that's how the oils smell, but it's really not too intense. I guess I just wipe it on my face. I don't know. If I'm using this completely wrong, then feel free to tell me in the comments. It feels really good. This feels really lightweight compared to what I was expecting from the stick application. It feels really nice and hydrating. It doesn't feel very greasy at all, but if you have oily skin, you probably will not like this. However, I have very extremely dry skin, and lately I've been noticing that when I put foundation on, it just looks flaky kind of because my skin's so dry. So I'm excited to put this to the test and hopefully keep my skin a lot more moisturized this winter. I don't have any new foundation or concealer to test right now, so I'm going to apply some color correcting and foundation and concealer off camera, and then we'll be back for a new cream contour. Okay, I'm back, and let me just run through what I did really quickly off camera. That way you're kind of caught up with me. I used my Benefit Erase Paste to color correct under my eyes, and I used my L'Oreal Pro Glow Foundation. I love this stuff. I can't get enough. This always looks good. If you have dry skin, you need this. Then I used my Too Faced Born This Way concealer, and I set my concealer with my vanilla brightening powder from Besame. And I also filled in my brows with my Benefit Goof Proof brow pencil. Now we're gonna do some cream contouring, and I'm not gonna lie, this is not in my comfort zone. This is not something that I typically do, but PUR Cosmetics sent me over a few of their products to try, and one of the things they sent was this Cameo contour stick. It has a highlighting shade on one side and then a contouring shade on the other side. I think that this contour shade looks quite bronzy, so we'll see how that goes. The contour stick does come with this beauty sponge, and as you can see, it has an angle, kind of a flat side and then a rounded side, sort of like the Real Techniques one. This does feel surprisingly soft. It's not quite as soft as the Beauty Blender, but it is a little bit softer than the Real Techniques sponge, which I am surprised by because when this is dry, it is very, very solid. So I did not think it was gonna soften up as much as it did. Okay, now I'm just stalling because I'm afraid of cream contouring, so let's just go for it. Okay, moment of truth. We're gonna blend it out with a sponge now and see how it looks. So, I gotta be honest with you right off the bat. I really don't like this. This just isn't the kind of product for me. I don't typically cream contour. This is definitely not a contouring shade. It's definitely a bronzer shade. It's very warm. I don't find it super easy to work with. I don't think it's easy to blend out. The way that the product is formatted just doesn't make it easy to target particular areas of your face and get really clean lines, which is what you're going for when you're contouring. So I do like the sponge, but I am not a fan of this. Sorry. Okay, moving on now, I have some pressed mineral powder, also from PUR. This is in the shade Light. I do really like the compact. I think it's pretty. It feels very heavy and sturdy. It came with this cute little clear handled brush, which I like. So oh wow. Can you see that? This brush is shedding so much. So let's put on a little powder and see if it can kind of even out this weird cream contour that I have going on. This brush is shedding. This brush is shedding all over my face. Okay, this brush is a dud. No gracias. I'm gonna use my own brush. Okay, I love the way this powder looks. It looks very light on the skin. It's definitely not a full coverage powder by any means, but it does not look heavy or cakey at all. And like I've said, I have dry skin, so powders are usually really tough for me. So it seems like the shade Light is a good color match for me. The powder looks nice. It looks very flawless. My skin still looks luminous through the powder, which is due to my foundation that I use, the Pro Glow, and I still have that luminosity. The powder didn't make my skin look dull. I will say though, the brush, the second that I put it to my face, it just started shedding all over, so I won't get any use out of this, but I do really like the powder. The next thing, oh my gosh, it smells so good. The next thing I'm going to try out is the highlighter from the Maneater palette. I've been using the eyeshadows, but I have not used the highlighter on my face yet. I've only used it as like an inner corner highlight. So we're going to test this out on the cheekbones and see how it does. I like this highlighter. It's a little bit more subtle than I expected, but I know from using it as an eyeshadow that it is buildable. So if you wanted a little bit more intense highlight, you could layer this up or spray a little Fix Plus on your face and then apply this. But I do like the very subtle glow that it's giving me just from an easy kind of one swipe over the cheekbones. So continuing in the tradition of loving this palette, you're gonna be seeing a lot more of this, I can tell you that for sure. I'm gonna try on a new lip color now. I just ordered this from ColourPop not too long ago. It's the Ultra Satin Lip in the shade November. It's one of the Kathleen Lights collabs, and I have not even tried this on my lips yet. So I already know that I love the Ultra Satin Lip formula, but I wanna try out the shade. So let's put it on and see how it looks. This is a little bit more like peachy pink than I was expecting. For some reason, I was expecting a more like nudie pink, but I really like it. I love the Ultra Satin Lips. I love Kathleen. I love ColourPop, so you can't really go wrong. You really can't go wrong. Now it's time for my favorite thing, and that is eyeshadow. I have this little mini palette from PUR Cosmetics. It's called the Revolution eyeshadow palette, and this is what the inside of the palette looks like. And I have some swatches here for you. There's a frosty pink shade called Flux, a kind of satiny eggplant color called Superior, a very interesting like grayish green called Uproar, and then a shimmery dark brown called Formation, and a satin kind of dusty mauve color called About Face. It looks like About Face is the only non-shimmer shade. It does look like a satin to me when I swatch it, but I do think that it'll work as a transition shade in the crease. I kind of am skeptical about a palette that doesn't have any mattes, but That really doesn't bother me. I do have an all neutral Z palette that I use to supplement for a lot of my other eyeshadow palettes. So I don't think that this is gonna be like an all-in-one kind of eye look palette. So let's put it on my eyes and see how it does. First, I'm gonna use that dusty mauve color called Formation as my transition shade. Now I'm gonna use the darker brown shimmer shade called Formation on my outer corners of my eyes. Now I'm gonna take the purple shade called Superior and I'm gonna put that all over my lids. I'm not super happy with the way this dark purple looks all over my lids, so I'm gonna add the light frosty pink shade over top and see if I can brighten up my look a little bit. This palette also came with a mini-sized, fully charged mascara, so I'm gonna put some of that on and then I'll go over everything that I've tested today and tell you my thoughts. Alright, now that I'm done with my look, let's go over everything I used and I'll tell you kind of my thoughts and my first impressions of everything. And the last time I did a first impressions video, I pretty much liked everything, and this time there were a few things that I definitely didn't like. So let's start off with the things that I did like. First of all, the MAC Prep and Prime Essential Oil Stick felt so great. I love this. I see myself using this a lot in the future. I think that my foundation and powder just went on really beautifully. My skin doesn't look too dry. MAC rarely ever does me wrong, and I know I'm gonna love this. Next thing that I really enjoyed was the pressed mineral makeup from PUR. I think that this looked so nice and natural on my skin. It didn't look cakey or flaky or heavy, and I do often have that problem with powders, especially pressed powders, but this just went on like a dream. It looked beautiful. Definitely enjoyed using this. A surprise favorite was this sponge. I did not think I was gonna like it as much as I do. It feels really soft, it feels really bouncy. I like how it has a rounded side and a flat side. I love beauty sponges, and I'm definitely going to be using this on my vanity a lot. The last product that I really liked from this video is the mascara. It's the PUR Cosmetics Fully Charged Mascara. It gave my lashes instant length. It's not overly volumizing, but I do like more fluttery long lashes. And this has a really wet formula, but it did not clump my lashes at all. I just think that they look really natural. It looks just like I have naturally really long lashes. So I like this mascara for sure going into rotation. Very impressed. Now there are two products that were just kind of middle of the road for me. They weren't fantastic, but they weren't terrible. And surprisingly, it's November from ColourPop. I like the formula of this. It's just, I don't think it's the most flattering color for me. It's not a color that I'm gonna consistently reach for. I just think it's a little bit too like corally pink, and I don't think it's flattering on me. It's pretty, it's a great formula, it's just not the perfect lip color for me. The other product that's just kind of meh for me is the eyeshadow palette. It wasn't incredibly pigmented, it was easy to work with, it did blend just fine, but it's not really my personal favorite color palette, and I wasn't very wowed by the formula. Like I said, it's not bad, it's not like impossible to work with, it's just kind of middle of the road for me. Just gotta be honest with you. And lastly, two things that I absolutely did not like, and I can guarantee you I will not be using again, are the brush. This thing just is still shedding. It's a nightmare. And the Cameo contour stick, I like the idea of this, but it's just not the right product for me. I'm not somebody who's going to cream contour, and I think the contour shade is too warm to actually be a contour. It's more of a cream bronzer. So, like I mentioned before, I don't like the format of this cream. I just think it's too big to work with and to get any sort of precision. So this just didn't work for me. that wraps up this first impression video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye. You can just see all the mess that I have everywhere. Typical. 1 minute in, still not talking. Great. What was that? Stick formation? What? It's time for the trash truck now. Every time. I shouldn't complain. Thanks for taking my garbage away. You guys are cool.